made my big cat come to me. I met yet. And I keep playing superpower with the super antique. Ooh, we'll go over to you. And I am Marty Kirsch, and I got a little side hustle I call Mini Park. And it's making little stuff. Like a little lunchbox cakes and so yeah, all my stuff is made to the magic of making the cakes safely. And which superpower? The power of making a big phenomenal cake. I love it. That's awesome. My name is Pam Adams, and I just started out business called Business for Being. So from my personal superpowers, as a one person, yeah, would probably be like comfort. So I'm the other duo. We are first in duo. Oh yeah, it's Teresa Boney, and my superpower is to spread joy. Oh, that seems so comforting to our word. My name is Tanya, and I own business. And then I own Tanya's Tasty Kitchen. And I would say my superpower would be super taste from taking even gluten-free and vegan stuff and making it taste good. All right, nice. And we're doing our name of the business, and what your business's superpower would be. Okay. I'm Angie Holwood. It's just a side business. It's that I carry out, and we do with Native American food. So, yes. Thank you. Did anybody say anything on Zoom? I know it's hard because they're not talking, Julie. Is there any? Not yet. All right. So feel free to chime in on Zoom, and I'll share your. Yeah, if you'd like to, feel free. All right. Let's keep going. So the first thing we really going to want to talk about is branding basics. Now, in your work with the Street Food Institute, in your own work, in your own lives, you definitely encountered brands. You also might have done work in branding. So some of this may be new information for some of you may already be familiar with it. But what we really want to talk about in this next slide is how branding is different than marketing. One of the things you'll often hear, people are like, well, I'm branding my business. Isn't that like advertising my business? Isn't that doing all of those things that you think of as marketing, social media? But it's really not. Branding is really about creating a unique identity for your food, your food business, your business, the restaurant business. Really, it's really so that wherever your customer is, whether they find you online, whether they find you in a brick and mortar, whether they find you in a food truck, whether they find you in somebody else's home, where they run in, the experience they have is consistent across all of it. And so once you have your brand, then you transition into marketing, because that's the actions you take to promote your restaurant. So I think it's really important. We're going to talk about marketing, the next one, but this is really talking about how does it make people feel to experience the brand of your business? Okay. Any questions or thoughts? Ideas? Please jump in. We're really informal here, so if you have thoughts or ideas, don't hesitate. So why is branding important? Any ideas? Why branding is really important is that is really the way you differentiate yourself from other businesses. You are in one of the most highly competitive industries in the world. But it's also one where there's a lot of camaraderie and a lot of closeness, right? But there's a competitive aspect. You're trying to get customers to come to your business. And having a really strong brand is one of the best ways to do that. So people don't confuse you with another brand. So they choose to experience your business rather than another business. And that they want to come back. You know, the highest and best success in any business is when they tell somebody else about it. Right. And that is really a lot to do with the brand. An ad isn't going to tell somebody to tell their friends to try it. We're going to tell somebody that the feeling they have, which is the food, but it's also the experience, the atmosphere, the service, all of those things make up. Anything else? Does anybody have any other thoughts? Why branding is important. And you Zoomers weigh in too if you want.
So far, we have Gabriel with Quarterhouse Barbecue, and he said, "My superpower is that we will blow your mind."
Oh, I like it. It's getting in a brand mindset. Yes. Any thoughts on this? Just real quick, you know, identity and recognition is really creating that unique identity, which does include your logos and your color and your design, and that becomes synonymous with your brand. We're just talking about Juicy J's because we saw them at an event we were at, and it's in the colors of his truck today and his restaurant. And so all of those things, I mean, I noticed it, right? And I've only seen it once. And so those sorts of things, those people's brains making those connections between a color and your business is extremely powerful. So that identity and recognition, that aha, we can all think of all sorts of brands, right, that have that. We talk about it. Beautiful. Building trust and loyalty. Building trust and loyalty is extremely important in a place like Albuquerque. We always say, and you all, I'm sure, experience it, this is a big, small town, right? And so that idea of a customer trusting you and being loyal to you is extremely powerful. Emotional connection, having a feeling about your business. And we'll talk a little bit more about emotional connection later. Differentiation in a competitive market. Right, your tamales, my favorite tamales. Marketing and advertising, again, once you have your brand established, that's an important part of it. Value perception. One of the crazy things about people is if people have a great experience, it makes them want to pay them, right? They perceive something as value as a brand that they can really connect with. You have a really interesting location, if you have a brick and mortar or a food truck, all of those things contribute. It can contribute to being able to charge more. It can contribute to people feeling like they're getting a good value. Do I need to talk louder? Okay, I will. And then expansion and growth. One of the things that's really important is if you get to a point, and let's hope you all do, where you're ready to build and sell your business, maybe, or expand your business. Having a strong brand is a huge part of what makes your business able to expand or grow, or to be bought by somebody else. That's a perfectly acceptable goal in a business, is to grow it, to sell it. And so having a strong brand is part of the sales cycle when somebody's thinking about buying business. So brands are also really powerful for that. All right, I just pulled two brands that you all may be familiar with. I did one national brand and then one local equivalent to talk about. So what's this brand? Right, of course, right? Now, what does it not say on that brand? It doesn't say Starbucks, does it? Right. Right? What's this brand? Oh, this guy down here.
Yeah, it's a little Lottaburger.
It's Greg's Lottaburger. What does it not say on here? Right. So those brands, and have you noticed Target now? It's just the Target.
It just
right. There's no. It doesn't say Target anymore. So that's because the brand is so powerful. They built it so much that you go, oh yeah, that's Starbucks, without ever seeing your brain. For all your brain knows, it says it's Starbucks spelled out right there, right? And that's kind of course, there's been hundreds of millions of dollars making you feel that way. So that isn't to say that everyone will be like that, but you know, Blake's have them. And
over
yet
the last 50 years, 60 years, and
they have, they're all over, right?
Grow up, and yeah,
you're right, and they also have a lot of loyalty. Right, there's a lot of loyalty to a company like this. I pulled Humble as another coffee company because they're here locally, and I think they've done a really good job with their branding, their Instagram presence, and with their logo. So, and then In-N-Out Burger, I pulled them because they're coming here, and I think it's like in 2027, it's not for a while, but they're coming. But you know, you would have thought, I don't even know, these like Apple was relocating here or something by outside people were about In-N-Out Burger coming. But it's also because of that brand. I mean, have you all had In-N-Out burgers? And I mean, I think it, you know, it's like you put up against Flakes, and I'm not going to be like, well, one's hugely better than the other. But the point is that the brand of In-N-Out Burger is what people are excited about, right? It's not actually because it's the most wonderful burger. Although if all of you think In-N-Out most wonderful burger in the world, that is okay. Can you think of any other brands like Target or Starbucks that have that just the minute you see it, you know what it is? McDonald's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Anybody on Zoom have any ideas? Okay.
I,
All right. Any other brands? McDonald's is a good one. What other ones? It could be local too. Southwest Airlines. When you see those planes, you know, if you ever see the colors of those planes, you don't actually see any logo on it. Which one? Whataburger. What did you say?
The Southwest. Because they're usually
Yeah. Yeah.
take your flavor on them.
Yeah. Whataburger. Absolutely that W.
Disney, they have a font.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and then you don't see it anywhere. The time you see it, you know it's Disney. Yeah.
Pepsi, what?
Pepsi. I would say Apple. Nobody has a MacBook in here, but if you do, you know, they're the one that started that, and everybody has it on the back of their laptop. But you know that one too. How long has it been since you said Apple on anything? Right? You just see the Apple and you know what it is. And Apple, I would just say, is the strongest example of like an entire brand experience. You get AirPods, you get an iPhone, you get a computer, you get anything, and you know exactly what your experience is going to be. And they've also been able to do so it works, right? The whole point is everything works together. But that experience, people pay ridiculous amounts of money just to have that brand experience, even though arguably there are, not even arguably, there are headphones better than AirPods that work with iPhones, right? But people want this whole experience. And so not to say, and again, millions, billions of dollars being spent on doing this, but the point is that those experiences are recreatable in your own way, in really small businesses, in your own lives. They don't have to be something that dramatic, but it gives you the opportunity. And I think it's really worth it to think about, you know, all the packaging, right? What it's like in the stores. All of those things are replicable within your own worlds, just maybe probably likely at a smaller scale. Any other thoughts? Any questions? All right, let's keep going. Okay. You might have discussed this, but you know, let's do this. So if you all can do this a little bit in your groups, so you guys together and then kind of in your table groups, I want you to think about your favorite food brand, each of you. Okay, write it down. It can be local, it can be national, it can be a restaurant, or it can be like a brand of food, like you know, like if you have a certain bread you like or something like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a restaurant. So write down, and we have paper here if you need it. Write down your favorite food and why do you love it and why do you choose it. And then the final question is, why would you shift to another one? Okay, so write those down and then chat about it a little bit, and then we're going to ask you to just kind of talk a little bit about what you do. It's not going to be a huge presentation. You don't have to stand up, right? Okay, so favorite food, why do you love it? All right, good. Get going, and then we'll come back. All right. Does anybody need a pen or paper? Pretty good. You all are prepared. You all on Zoom, do this as well.
What's your favorite thing? Who's beyond? Papados. What? Papados. Papados. Or the New Orleans. Yeah. Seafood.
You guys can talk, it's okay. You're not, you can chat with each other. This isn't a.
No cheating, no talking.
It's not actual school. We're gonna have fun, yeah. You can even talk loud. Okay.
That's what, oh, that was like, it's good food, it's consistent, and that comes like with a good value. Yeah. And that is good for like large groups, because there's something for every. Yeah.
Can they hear me? This bad.
Yeah, everything sounds good.
Yeah, okay. Value for me, that's important.
I'll give you like 2 more minutes twice a week, then we'll share.
We used to get more than that. We stopped eating out. Right now, things are so expensive. He's telling my husband, we need to quit eating out too, but it's just us two, so it's like. Sometimes it's easier to get. I would choose doing something. A lot of them have, yeah.
All right, you guys about ready? Okay, anybody on Zoom want to share?
I just sent the question, so I'll let you know when I get some response.
Great. Jump in. Okay, does anybody have any thoughts? I heard a Dion's back there. Anybody?
I put Dion's pretty much because it's like good quality, it's consistent, and I feel it's a good value, and then also that it's good for large groups because there's something for everybody.
Right, and they also can like move tables together. They're pretty flexible. Yeah, that's good with anything that would make you shift.
They'd have to do something really bad.
Oh no!
And I've never had I've had I think one issue there ever, and they took care of it, and that's in like years that I've been eating there. So I'm at this point it would have to be really bad.
They just have to really destroy it.
That's
good. Yeah,
I'm the same way over BJ's Brew House and restaurants.
Oh,
They
yeah.
got 230 stores all over the country. They're a scratch kitchen. They got an excellent program, and they treat their people well. The house is always clean. They always take care of things. All their equipment works and all their refrigerators work. And yeah,
right.
One of the managers one time come by and said, "We used to with you." I said, "Still come home to eat." Because yeah, it's an excellent kitchen.
What else? Yeah.
Well, I didn't do like okay. I chose bear with best foods mayo.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Oh, I understand. Okay, yeah.
Because it reminds me of the mayo my grandmother used, which was I think it's the same thing as like Hillman's or Kraft. I think it's but I didn't know. I'm not from here, so
yeah,
that was a choice.
No. And it just it has like an emotional connection.
Yeah, it's emotional connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all the that's hugely powerful. What about any of you up here? And Juchi's. One of like all of them, or one in specific?
I like them all. I like how they're all a little bit different.
What else? Anybody else want to share? You want?
Not really a big fan of big restaurant.
Sure.
There's one actually that's his house, it's called Share. And it's not even a restaurant. They own property, but I like it because they're really doing it from scratch. They do a lot of you know, connection with indigenous people, knowledge, they grow their own being.
Is that shed project?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's really neat.
I like what he does.
Yeah.
It's very unique, so when they're no wants to do it because it's about work.
Yeah, that's a cool project.
I like that a lot, honestly, it's very unique.
Yeah, so unique.
So I, you know, I've never ate there. But I know people that have, and I follow their stuff.
Yeah.
Without even needing like I know that I, you know, wouldn't change it and I'll stay just because of the work they.
Yeah, that's cool. Anybody on Zoom? It's okay if not, but anybody?
So yeah, excuse me. Stubbs Barbecue Sauces started as a small shack in Texas, but here they're named through Walmart. They're always consistent, use non-GMO ingredients, and the only reason Gabe would switch is because he would make his own sauce.
Ah, that's a good reason. All right.
So that's a key ingredient in his barbecue. Oh.
So one of the big things that you is getting it, and I think in your world, I imagine including for, but it's also it's true when we're talking about apple too, is consistency. Right? She said about Dion's. The expectation, and that's really hard for a restaurant like Dion's, right, is to have that same experience or similar enough experience every time that you come to rely on, right? And then you won't switch. Like, even if it's not exactly the same, I can't imagine going anywhere else. But consistency is a real challenge, but it's also a really big part of branding because it's not just the food, it's that it looks the same, that it feels the same, it's as clean every time. It's that you have the same experience and it's reliable. I think especially post-COVID, people are really looking for things that seem familiar and seem the same because things are still changing so much. So that consistency is really important in people, as we all know better than we do. Food is a really emotional thing, right? And so people are coming in with a lot going on around food. You said the mayonnaise is a great example, right? It's not just mayonnaise. It's all these things for you. And so all of that has to come in when you're thinking about your brand. What do you want people to experience? What do you want people to experience every time? If you build something in your brand, can you replicate it day after day? And one of the things that's really important, I think, with building a brand from the ground up is not going so big that you're having trouble consistently doing it over time, because that is what people expect. So it's sometimes better to go small and be consistent than go big and have people having a different experience every time they experience it. So let's talk a little bit about storytelling. So the power of a good story, and this is the core to what a brand really is. It's this, I'm so glad you brought up Chef Foods because I probably didn't go back, right? But it's this idea that to build your brand, you're telling a story. You're building an emotional connection with your customer. You're having them look at you, at your location, at your food, at your packaging, and identifying with you and with them. Again, we'll go back to loyalty again and again. But sometimes there's a cultural connection there, right? You talked about tamales, and all of us, all of a sudden, right, had this view of what that is this time of year. But it's not just a tamale, it's like a whole experience that people have, whether they made them, eat them. There's a lot about that, and cultural connections are really important. They also, as we all know, have to be extremely authentic. And then memorable experiences that you think about them all the time. We'll go back to Dion's because I've always thought it. Did any of you growing up, if you grew up here, do the Dion's field trip in like second grade? Right, you're all nodding. What is that? I mean, you think it was for freebies and the t-shirt, but what is it really? They're building their brand with all these second graders. We have friends. I know, it's like, yeah, you're ready. And we have friends that work at Dion's, so we always laugh about it. It's like the Happy Meal of Albuquerque, right? You're like, I got a t-shirt. But that's, maybe you can't do what Dion's does with every school. But you know, if you have a brick and mortar, if you have something that you can connect with the school near you, it's possible to think about some of those things to build your brand on a smaller level. right? You don't necessarily have to do Dion's level of indoctrination, but the idea of connecting with kids and therefore with their families is something that's very doable in a place like Albuquerque. And so those memorable experiences are things you're all nodding, right? And yet, what's so crazy about it is it's so familiar here and nowhere else in the country has any kid had those experiences. So it's something totally unique to all of us. And that's kind of cool, right? So the storytelling, you think of it as what is my story in my business, but it's really how we all make connections, right? It's how we all get to know each other. It's how we understand the world. And stories are about emotions. So one of the things I would say with your brand is it is really important to evoke some sort of emotion. Somebody said comfort, heat. Whatever the emotion is really up to you. I would say, Juicy J, it's like fun, right? Yeah. It doesn't, I'm not going to tell you what emotion you need to evoke. That's completely up to you. But I will tell you need to evoke them. When you're telling your story, people need to care. They need to feel something when they experience your business. And you can ask your customers what they feel. You can go out of your way to create a feeling through your brand, right? Through your colors, through your visuals on your walls. But it is very important that people feel something. Because you don't want them to decide what they feel out of the context of what you're doing. You want to help them know what to feel. Because sometimes people make the wrong decision. You want them to feel happy and they feel melancholy. Or you want it to be fun and they think it's hell, right? And maybe it's full. But you really want to think about what is the feeling that you want to evoke, and then use your story to tell that. So think a little bit about this, and I won't make you report this time. But what's unique about it? And we're going to do, you have some worksheets so you can work on this. But these are some of the questions to ask yourself. What's unique about it? Are you using a family recipe? Are you using a friend's recipe? Did you create it somehow? Were you not healthy and you decided to do something to make you healthier? You created your business? Is it a side hustle that you want to make into a full-time hustle? Do you use local ingredients? Like you said, the shed project did. Are you trying to be more sustainable? What are the elements of your story that you want to get across? Now, not everybody wants to tell a personal story. That's okay. It doesn't have to. You don't have to go with the phone. This is your business, and you may want some distance from it. But there needs to be some sort of story about why you're doing what you're doing. And typically, as an entrepreneur, it's very hard to completely distance yourself from business. People are going to talk to you and want to know what you're doing here. So it's good to kind of find a way to be able to tell the story in a way that makes you comfortable doing that. Okay. Any thoughts, questions, anything on Zoom? Oh yeah, go. Marty, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it so kind of like finding a need and filling the niche?
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're saying? That's opposite coin of the.
Yeah, it can be that. That may be part of your story.
Like what we really need here is
miniature,
a truck that'll go around with like a margarita, like the ice cream man with margaritas.
Absolutely.
Ring the bell. And they run out like ice cream trucks when they're kids.
It could be a niche that something doesn't exist. It could be that what exists is crappy. Right? It could be that you're like, I could do this better. Right? And so your story could be you and a family member started something. It could be family recipe, but it may not be. You may have invented them. You may have decided to go into cooking because you weren't happy with what you were doing before. But those again are your personal stories. But what are the stories about your brand? And they could, there's probably going to be some you're going to meet somewhere in between.
Right.
Well, what is the story that you want to tell about why you're doing what you're doing? And you have these, we'll get into these a little bit, little blue sheets, because you're going to be able to do some work and take these home with you as you think about this. Now, if you're like sitting here going, I don't have a story. I have no idea what my story is. That's okay. But I will tell you that if you want to build your brand, it's good to create one. And I will also tell you, some people just make up stories. It doesn't actually have to be real, right? You know, you can make up a story that is really resonant about what you're doing, right? There's no mermaid at Starbucks, right? So your story that you want to tell just needs to be consistent, and you need to be able to really embrace this. And it can be a totally fun story about your brand. But it's usually, I think, with smaller businesses, it works a little bit better if there's a personal angle to it, just because it's a little easier to tell it when it's something that big brands can just do from scratch. They add agencies, design amazing things. But there are many situations in which people don't prefer to share their personal story. So it's totally okay if you want to make something up. The one thing I would suggest not to do is don't make something up about you. You're better off just like not sharing and making up your brand. Because it's really hard to kind of tell a fake story about yourself all the time. But I think it is totally fine to start your story from scratch and embellish on it. Now, what I would say is, I don't think you say, these are all my grandma's recipes, and you're just lying. I think you just make up a story that's more like the Starbucks version, where it's mermaid and all of these things. So don't ever lie. It's always going to wind up, but you can totally say, this is my fun brand that I just kind of came up with, and it has to do with unicorns, my favorite brand. So, you know, you can really think about what you're doing and how you're doing it, and then come up with something that resonates with you. All right. What's a brand story? Let me just. All right, so getting close to your words. So when you're thinking about your story, and you may have some of this, and this is going to go, we're going to go into the worksheet a little bit. There's some different components of this story that you're developing for yourself. And all of these things are going to inform the brand that you're going to use for your packaging. Again, if you're brick and mortar, for your decor, if you want to update your logo, and some of you may have all of these things, and so you just want to be sure that everything is consistent. But these are all the components of this brand story that you want to build as you talk about it. Your origin story, we just talked about that. Where it comes from, right? Your mission and vision. I know that sounds really corporate, but everybody has a mission and vision. You have a reason that you're doing what you're doing. When we started our business, 2540 Group is the intersection of I-25 and I-40. And we were really committed that we want to do things that benefit New Mexico. In marketing and public relations, you can do a lot of good and you can do a lot of bad. And our commitment to ourselves, to each other, and to our communities that we're going to do things that benefit the state. And it's a really great mission, because of some of the assets you work in, like, we just don't do it. That's not part of our mission and vision. So yours can be really simple, right? Make good food. It doesn't have to be extensive, but I would suggest that it's a really good idea to come up with a vision, to come up with a mission, so your goals and objectives, and then your future. What do you envision for your business? And when you do that, it's when you have a mission and vision that you can really absorb and really believe in. It makes a lot of other things easier. If you hire employees, you can tell them what you expect of them, and that you're going to follow the mission and vision. You have to make a tough decision. One of the things you can apply is this along with my mission? So mission and vision can actually help make other decisions much easier. Sometimes you have this opportunity that you're like, it's a risk, it's beneficial, should I do it? It's tomorrow. Yeah. It's scary, right? Sometimes you can say, this isn't in line with what my mission and my vision is for my business. And that's a really good thing. Your values and beliefs. You were talking about the Shed Project. You know, it's all logo. I think it's all 100% logo. I mean, it's not just like, you know, right? He wrote that. He goes in the forest and forages. Right.
Yeah, he doesn't buy. Well, he does buy, but
right.
That's almost yeah.
So that's his values, right? Right. And some people it's organic, some people free. So your values, again, what matters to you is a really important part of the brand. But you need to, your USP, marketing. What's your USP? But what is it? What's unique? Why should people choose you? Why should they come to you? Fun, mobile, easy, delicious, different. Huh? Different, yeah, different. And I think you know, it's hard sometimes to think about being competitive with your friends that you're competing against, but being unique doesn't mean that you're necessarily trying to crush the competition. It's what's the best about you. Excuse me. The customer experience. That is, as you all know better than people, that's huge. And whether you are in a restaurant, in a food truck, selling, catering, all in between. Your customer, you will live and die by your customer experience. Not only because they won't come back if they have a in-person customer experience, because this is a gossipy town. They can tell all their friends. And so what you want to do, going back to Dan's, is that you want to build enough loyalty so if they have an unfortunate experience, it's not going to change their whole perception about the business. But customer experience really will make or break you. And so if that's something that you haven't thought about yet or that you're struggling with, you know, that's, I think, something really important we can talk about with Julie and Tina about and with each other about is how do you build a customer experience when you don't have it? How do you build a customer experience when people are coming up and serving the card or that you're selling at farmers markets or at the downtown growers market, all of those things, but that customer experience still is a part of your brand however they're experiencing you. And yeah.
But I would add, as far as customer experience, for a lot of folks who are doing pop-ups right now, I think a lot of every year is gearing towards that as they work into their next step. The customer experience in that sense, I think what's really powerful is your possibility and capability to be the experience with the customer. You are the creator of the business, you are the business, but you have direct one-on-one contact with which is not always the case in food business. Yep. So I think there's something special about that in how you can use that as a tool to create your customer experience.
Yeah, and what a great research opportunity. So as you're thinking about building your businesses and thinking about the customer experience, think about it where you are, not where necessarily where you want to be, but how are customers going to experience you as you grow? What is the way that they're experiencing you, or what is the first way they're going to experience you, and build from there. And when you're new and growing your business, ask. People love being asked. Hey, I'm new. I've just started out. I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you think. And what do you think about this? People are, in general, people are very forgiving, and they love it, and they love being asked there. So I absolutely, it's a really good point. You have this unique opportunity that you may never have again to just say visual and sensory elements. Well, you know, this, right? Sensory elements. You kind of gotta nail that, right? In food. Your narrative style and tone. Are you fun? Are you nostalgic? Are you 1980s decor, right? You know, what is your tone, and what story are you trying to tell, and how are you trying to tell it? It's not as common anymore, but like in the like Bennigan's, Applebee's, and some of those are bigger, they do. Oh yeah, yeah, there's like that real fun kind of. It's not popular anymore. People don't really like. It's one of the big class. But this idea of this kind of fun narrative style really over, and it's just that I don't know what's the movie with all the flair. Office Space. Oh no, thank you. But this idea of what are you going to do? And then just go with it, right? If you decide you're going to be super fun and wacky, then be wacky. You're opposed to me as probably. Growth and evolution. I think it's really important when you're thinking about your brand. It's hard when you're starting to think about starting a business, think about growing or evolving a business. But I'll tell you, the best time to think about it is when you start, not along the way. Now, I don't think you have to have a 10, 20-year business plan here, but always in the back of your mind being like, what's next? Do I want to Do I want to have a food truck? Do I want to have a retail location? Do I want to be in a farmer's market? Do I want to have a food truck? Do I want to have brick and mortar? Because the other thing is, you might say, I don't want those things. I want my growth to go this way and not that way. And thinking about those things now and planning to your mission and vision will help you make the decisions along the way. So when you're building your brand, think about those things now. And then also remember the community and social impact. This is a small town, and there are a lot of small businesses here that do things in the community, donate product, do workshops, all sorts of things. And that can be a differentiator. Your unique selling proposition can have something to do with the community impact. And then again, your future aspirations. Because you never know when somebody's talking and they say, what do you want to do next? I want to be an investor. You never know. These things happen. Any thoughts? Anything on Zoom?
Not at the moment.
All right. Anybody? Any thoughts or questions? Writing. Yeah. All right. So this is kind of the backbone of it all, right? What are these emotional connections that you can make with your brand? We're going to go back to authenticity. So I believe that Albuquerque is a place that if you're not authentic, and whatever that is, if you're not authentic in your made-up brand, or you're not authentic in your real brand, or you're not authentic in your story, people know it immediately and they hate it, right? That it is a big deal. And so that authenticity when you're making the emotional connection is really important. And you say, this is like, I created this for nothing. That's great. But what you don't want to do is say, I have this whole tale, and then people are like, that isn't actually your story. So if you're gonna have some fun made up something, just say it. That's what it is. Right? Sensory experiences, scent, that's a huge trigger for emotion. A really big one. Taste too, but scent especially. Customer-centric narrative. It does have to matter to the customer. And then visual storytelling. I don't know if any of you noticed as you came to hear the photos here, I don't know Homeland's building, but they're all very like gorilla centered downtown. And they really help. There's like chemo is here, and there's low rider flamenco. And so they really are the story that they're telling visually is really aligned with this building. All right. So trying to create your own brand story. I'll give you some time for this. Everybody has a worksheet in front of them. Don't worry, you don't have to fill out the whole thing here. And then everybody on Zoom, Julian is going to send you a link. There's a PDF that you can print out, or it's filled with fields if you want to type it. So you have this opportunity to create your own brand story. And it's in here. You can start writing it. Okay, and we'll come around and kind of talk to you. But you can take this back. If you have business partners or family or friends that you want to work on with, you can. But this is really to help you start filling in some of these blanks. You may have it all in your head, and then you can write it down and put it in a file somewhere. But I would submit to you that there's probably always room for updating or changing. So get to it. Does anybody use pen? Yep. Anybody else? Everybody good? All right. Get to it. Again, you can talk. This isn't meant to be a test. Nobody's going to ask you perfectly. Take some time on it, start thinking about it, and then if you have questions or thoughts, let us know. Table night.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay.
Six. I think more of those are just kind of listening. So, I think seven's good. I mean, I think we're flexible. Sure, I mean, if you are,
Yeah.
if we get more time with this personalization, but we can get also, if we go back and they love them. So,
Yeah.
maybe do this. Or justification.
Yeah, I know.
Some
I know you know things right now.
probably this starts. This really much. I mean, I was really I was something.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a good.
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
which is stuff I think.
It's so much. Yeah, that's why we wanted to give them this.
Yeah. And they'll have PDF.
I think it's hard.
Yeah. And the concepts are, I think, maybe a little bit related. Like get you thinking about the brand you're familiar with.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Why?
Oh, yeah. Well, this is, I'm even as little as the shoe you wear our work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Air Force One.
Any,
Whatever.
yeah, even with the logo.
Yeah.
We're all literally walking.
Yeah.
It's much better.
We would change CNN's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's also now we need to come back in, it might not.
Okay.
You can.
I was gonna ask you, either one about going in the future and then want to put your head, so I want to put it in Tina's head. One, I want to approach this student model while you're building the company. But I think that to be effective, we would need to invest in some marketing.
Yeah. Yes. Very.
Because I feel like in my head, it's this one maybe an app or a website where folks can come in and they can view all of our businesses. And either they have a page where you can order their products or you can hire a caterer, or you actually have live ghost restaurants that are operating in the evenings and it's all delivery.
Yeah, really this because on the proof we think that's the experiment so you have this experience, but in
I feel like it's part of us both the events and the sales, right? So it's going to be so built, but if we can gather either the neighborhood or people who know us, or get friends and family and showcase the business themselves, and people to try to do that. Oh my God, that's really good. How can I get access to that later?
Social media. The other thing to think about, and it's expensive, but it's better to think about now, is I would really look into doing some digital and how we're trying to so that you can less. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think you have to do things. But if you could let like a bagel on it, change it out, it would make your life a lot easier because signs are the sign matters.
Yeah. But
it'll be hard if you have to.
Well, we're also we're in that same process with the building itself.
Yeah.
And we're having the same conversation about what is it and what it's
it's not.
Yeah. So,
right. I think that digital signs are.
I also think the reason I invest is because I think it's I mean, it's shown that through COVID in a lot of other cities, that's how some of these people go. I mean, I thought a lot of restaurants maintained it. I told a story of even Chuck E. Cheese, right? They were selling their entire business model was shut down, but they had opportunity to sell food. And so they changed their online brand to this gourmet pizza brand. People didn't realize that because it's through DoorDash that actually the pizza from Chuck E. Cheese. But online, it's beautiful presence. Photos are good. Yeah. So it was such an interesting event because it is, you have the stories of the small startups who are getting started, but then also big corporations realize that that's saying exact people.
Right.
So that's why it's so interesting because I think that there's something there.
I think that is interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I think the same with food delivery and now that you have access to any restaurant you want. And people aren't so utilize that convenient service, right? I mean, I know when you have this conversation all the time, she's like, I never DoorDash. It's just she's a different, she's a diner.
Right.
So,
right.
But then there are folks who enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a diner too. Yeah. I'm not. Plus, you have 2 big dogs and anytime you come to work.
Yeah.
Like, but it is a huge.
Like on my side, it's like I got these guys all the time. It's so easy.
Yeah.
And it's not great. I know it's not great, but sometimes it's I need something fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're my worst critics. I can make the most. I mean, anything they want in the entire world. Literally.
And they're like, chicken fingers.
Almost.
Chicken fingers. Mac and cheese. Yeah. Dino nuggets. Yeah. Dino nuggets.
Yeah. Big Dino nuggets fan.
Yeah. How y'all doing? Any thoughts or questions? Right away. I know it's a lot of pages. So again, there's not, you can take this and sit with it. We just wanted to give you some time to start thinking about it. Writing away for pizza court. Do we have more copies if you need another one for some reason? Give you 5 more minutes, okay? And then you can keep writing. You can keep writing while we're talking. I'm hoping you all bring your mission and vision. I can see it. And you have the PDF too.
Yeah, so they have the PDF. I'm sharing it on the whiteboard here as well.
Okay.
So it'll be fun to come back to it and see.
You guys should do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. The other thing is, I plan on it being in a new kitchen. I mean, I want to teach entrepreneurship forever. Right? I've done some stuff.
Right.
I have an ice cream brand. I have money.
Oh yeah.
It involves my kids. That's I'll share it.
But yeah, you know, it works.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, especially for a brand like that. Then you really do want to think about what's do you want to sell it? Do you want to be in business? Right? There's like these actual questions that if you say I want to grow this brand and be in like a regional grocery store, you really have to invest some money up front in creating a brand that they're going to want that, right? And that, maybe you don't want to do that, but the point is it's so much better to answer this question.
Yeah. Yeah, and funny, it's kind of, I mean, the name itself is Seven Strands. The story of the kid, right?
Oh,
it's called Dairy Cream because if you like can say Dairy Cream, little ones.
So it's very cream.
So that's the brand is Dairy Cream.
That's awesome.
You know, lots of fresh berries and fresh produce. The strawberry was some strawberry and so on.
Strawberry. Oh yeah.
Kind of
so everything. And see,
yeah,
that's a great start, right? And you can have that. Oh yeah.
And he wants to be part of the thing well.
You don't have to do good.
You know, we're not good like this.
Yeah. But
you're
yes. Right. But the core, that's cool.
And or just all
right, everybody want one more time or are you good?
And
then
I
want to get you out of here. So.
You know,
Not that anybody has anything to do with the rest of the evening. Okay. All right, everybody good? Okay. Take those with you. Julian has an electronic version of the fillable PDF. So if you want him to, he can send it all to you if you wanted to, if you prefer to type it in. And then I encourage you to kind of make this a living document and revise it. One of the most important things about this is you don't, not everything has to be perfect and you can change your mind, right? But we're going to go to consistency. Once you decide, I want you to start building your brand. It's extremely expensive to change your mind at that point. So change your mind on paper. Don't change your mind once you build your brand. I was just telling, I used to, Jen and I both used to work at CNM, and I was a part of it when they changed the name from TBI. And let me just tell you, changing your name and doing all of that is an extremely expensive proposition. And so, and there are still people who call it TBI. So, yeah. So do all of this on paper. But then also, if something doesn't fit and something doesn't work, don't be so set with your brand that if you really think you made a mistake, admit it and figure out a way to fix it. Right? You don't want to be, if your brand isn't working, once you decide on it, then you might want to read it. Right? It's not always perfection right away, but you really want to stick with consistency. Okay. We're going to rock through visual identity. This is the things people are typically more familiar with. You know what logos are, right? You know, we can talk about it in more detail, and we'll talk about it more in marketing. But a logo is extremely, it seems really simple, but it can be extremely important. And there are some decisions you can make on a logo that can make your life easy or hard as you move forward. The big decision that you can make that can make your life easier is to have a simple logo. Going back to Target's logo or Starbucks logo, In-N-Out logo, it's not 18 colors and 16 images and little tiny lines. Those sorts of decisions that you can make about your logo when you're starting your business, when you're thinking about your business, even little decisions like that can make your life a lot easier, especially if you're in something like trafficking. Because the more colors you have and the more elaborate your logo can be, the more expensive it can be to print things. More expensive it can be to paint the side of your truck. So those sorts of decisions, and I think the only thing I really want you to take out of this is simplicity is better. We've all worked at ad agencies. There's always a lot of desire to get everything you can into your logo. The best logos, the ones that are the most memorable, and also the ones that are the cheapest to reproduce, are the ones that are most simple. Apple's logo, one of the big reasons it's like it is they can mass produce it on all sorts of things. It's one color. One special thing at the top, it's one line or one. You can make stickers out of it, all of those things. So that simplicity is really important, but it's also a cost issue, right? They're having Target having to make these enormous signs. Well, every color they would have to add to that sign would be a totally different part of constructing the signs. So they're making those same sort of decisions about simplicity. Color palette. This goes back to the emotional content. What do you want people to feel, Purple? Right? Like these are in questions that you want to ask yourself. And color, there's a lot of color theory, and I'm not the best person to teach about that. The internet is. But there's all sorts of colors that have different feelings. Blue can make you feel calm, red can make you feel hot, right? We talk back about it. Those aren't necessarily bad emotions, but you want to be sure that what your color palette is matching what you want people to feel. Right? There's also things around visually. You will see things. You know, a lot of times you'll see a lot of like white text on yellow sort of things. And those sorts of decisions can make it really hard for, say you have like a low light restaurant, right? This menu design and some of the things you're more familiar with. Or you have packaging and you're selling things. Well, if people can't read very well what's on your packaging, and maybe less likely to buy it. They don't really think on machine, they can't read the ingredients.
Or the color issues with colors, your grays and light grays.
Yeah. There's a reason this is black on white.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, people can't see very well. Yeah. You can't see in low light. I'm wearing glasses, right? People just can't see as well, especially as you get older. You can't see as small a type. You can't distinguish colors as well. So there's universal design principles which are around make it so that the person who can see the worst can see it, not the person who can see the best. Right? Because then everything's possible. Imagery and graphics. We're gonna talk about Hooters, so not in any detail, but right, that's not a kid's restaurant. They're right, their imagery graphics are very specific, and that's okay. But depending on who you want in your restaurant, you need to think about that. You'll oftentimes see people like they have a painting they really love or an image they really love, but it's slightly inappropriate for kids. The parents have to bring their kids there if they're uncomfortable with it, or somebody goes, oh, you know that. Right? These sorts of questions matter to you. Is your imagery aligned with your brand? When you're thinking about building your business, about building your bakery, about building your image, what do you want people to say? But it's not, it's what do you want people to think? And it's not just about inappropriate, that's just easy and humor. It's about in your mind, in people's minds, what does your graphics say about you? And is it that same story? It's how fun, heat, comfort. Your voice and your messaging, how you're talking about yourself, how other people are talking about you, what your location says about you, packaging and collateral. So I wrote this thing. And then decor if you have brick and mortar. Okay. Any questions or any thoughts about visual identity? Have they ever moved off from like there? Have they ever been in a place that you have a weird that you have vision in the vibe? Nobody has ever been in a weird vibe. Huh?
I said I'm sure.
Yeah. Here's an example: Walmart. Right? Not it's the fluorescent lights with really tall shelves, right? It's the point of Walmart is not to get you to stay there. And they don't want you to, right? It's deliberate. They're giving you an experience, right? But it's not one where you're like, I'm gonna hang out in here for 4 hours. And then we're gonna transit, we're gonna like a Target. It's a little bit different, isn't it? Lower shelf, you can see around, the lighting's a little less harsh. They're trying to give you an experience that they kind of want you to wander around. If you spend a lot more, you're gonna be in Target. For Walmart, like get down. Let's go. Let's get you in here. We don't want you to be comfortable here, right? And that's okay. That's part of their brand, right? That's the experience they want you to have. They have those littler markets that are a little bit different. They do kind of want you. Anything else you guys think of the brand?
Good question. What about the packaging and collateral?
Oh, collateral, like brochures. If you had a brochure, that can also be a menu. Collateral would also be, it's like a sign, but it was kind of be somewhere in between. But like in food trucks, they have their menu outside, so you know where sometimes it's written, sometimes it's written. And that would also include on the websites, right? The digital part of it. Any thoughts? Anything on Zoom? Just want to be sure. I remember you all. All right, consistency. So this multi-channel branding, I might change that. But what this means is that no longer can you just be satisfied with what people see because you can experience your business, whatever. People now are experience you on Instagram, on TikTok, on your website, on your signage, in your packaging. You have all of these different places. And that's why we're going to go back to simplicity too, right? Decide on something simple. Don't go too big right away, and make sure that whatever you can do, you can operationalize it on all of your channels. You need to be on social media and really start to tell. But there's just no way you cannot be in social media right now. If you want to build your business, now, if you're doing fine and you just kind of wanted to keep doing how you're doing it, that's great. But if you want to build it, you need to get more customers. And that's where people are right now. It's also a heck of a lot cheaper. Okay. And so are people experiencing your business the same way? Are you fun on social and serious in person? Are you super serious on social and then it's like a laugh riot? You came there. Are you talking about, are you showing images of local food? And then that's not what people experience when they're in your location or eating your food. So you have to really think about your visuals and then it reinforces whatever it is you're trying to say. Right? Again, customer experience, that's part of it. And then going back to that, loyalty and recognition. That the more people see you and the more consistent it is, the more they're going to start being like, oh, that place is what it is. I think it's one of the hardest challenges about a food hall is that they don't have a lot of control about the overall experience, right? In 505 or in Sawmill, it's like they can see what it's like when you walk in the door and what the tables are like, but you're having this experience, right? A different one in every single place. So they left the branding, and I think it's smart, to the different locations. Because it's just, they just don't have any control about what your overall experience is. Anybody? Thoughts? And adapt to different mediums. I hope there's not another medium that, like another social media channel or something like that. Using a lot of ChatGPT lately, so.
It's all run by AI characters, but
I wish they'd walk my dog. All right, whoops. Okay. And Terminator. All right, so we're not going to go into detail about this. I wanted to show you this. One of the things that you can think about doing as you're thinking about building your business or growing your business or creating your business is thinking about your customer's journey. And this can be complex or can be easy. But what this really is if I'm a customer and I want to buy your tamales, or if I want to buy some pastries or whatever it is that I want to do, if I want to buy some juice, what is your customer experience going to be like? When they become aware of you, how is that going to happen? Do they hear about it from a friend? Do they see it on social media? Do they drive by? Do they see you like I did at an event and then they come to the location? Right. So what's that first awareness? And then do they decide to what makes when they're deciding to go? Why am I going to use this juice? Why am I going to use it for my party? Why am I going to get this thing? Okay, so what is their consideration? Do I need gluten-free? Do I need something for the holidays? Do I want a certain health profile? Do I need certain ingredients? Do I have my values that I want to apply? Like eating local. It's a big one. Right? Then they make a decision. Okay, I'm gonna go check this out. I'm gonna go to it's Patisserie 505. It used to be a great competition. I keep meaning to if I do this. So why am I going to go to this place? And so okay, I'm gonna go. I made a decision to try a new place, your new place. So what's my experience? And so you can really map all of this, right? You can say, okay, they decided to go to me because they want this. So then what's their experience? And then what are they going to do? What am I going to give them so they can tell their friends about it? Do I say follow me on Instagram? Do I give them a card that they can give to somebody else? Do I give them a discount for them to come back? That's really up to you completely. But how do you build loyalty and then, of course, gold standard, how do you get them to come back? I did work with the McDonald's. And people coming back. Not people coming back. It's every other time, right? They come back. That's how they make the money, and that's the power of the Happy Meal.
well, that was the trigger. He said, oh, well, you have to go back because they're gonna get a different character this week, and they're gonna get we gotta go thirsty because they're gonna I'm like they're good.
They have what is it? They grip.
Yeah.
And so
Happy Meal character.
but people are making the exact same decisions about any place, right? They're doing this entire for one visit. Every customer all the time is doing this. Oh, I've heard of this place. I'm thinking about it. Oh, I'm gonna go. What is my experience? Am I gonna go back? We were just talking with a friend of ours. There's a new hot dog place in Speakeasy in Nob Hill. It's the hot dog place in the front and it's a speakeasy. On the bottom, it's called Fat Franks. And we were just talking, like, we know about it, we're thinking about going, we're probably gonna go, our friends telling us to go, right? So then we have a good experience. And then we're gonna tell other people about it. Maybe, right? But we're here. And all your customers are gonna do this, every single one, whether or not you're gonna sell something somewhere else, or whether or not it's gonna be coming to see you.
Can you read what's going on?
Oh, sorry, these are all touch points. That's all it says, it's just a touch point. And my point is that somebody may be aware of you 3 different ways. Right, I've seen this place where I'm thinking about going, I saw it on Instagram. My friend told me about it. You know somebody who owns the building. Right, I've heard about it all of these different ways. You never know how somebody hears about you. And that's why your brand is so important. Because they're hearing about you different ways. But you want them to experience the same thing.
So like wrapping your vehicle or with your sign on,
you might see
parked in the Walmart parking this today, you parked over at work there, you're parked, so you go, I see that
water bottle
over town.
If you do bags, if you were selling things in bags, if you put a stamp on it, so people see the stamp, right? There's all different sorts of ways that you can do about this. There's all sorts of consideration, time, cost, when you're open. Yeah, right.
I was gonna put on the back of my Subaru, I'm gonna grow up to be a food truck. Call me.
Great. You know, people do magnets on cars all the time.
Trying to grow up to be a food truck.
Because wraps are expensive. All right. Any questions about this? Any thoughts? So this is for you to just kind of think about. Really, all you think about are the 5 areas in it, and just think about if there's some ways that you can make people more aware. When they make the decision or they have the experience. This is really where we're getting to, right? How do you get them to come back, however that looks, and how do you get them to tell other people about it? Right. With you, because I know you do packaging, you know, cups, that's huge, like people carrying them around, or water bottle stickers. Some of this is, you're not gonna, I don't think any of you, maybe I hold $500,000 to start your business. But it's also what you can afford to do, right? I mean, let's be honest, it's expensive. So stickers and things like that are a great way. You're not spending a ton of money. And then just to anything else I want to say? I think really where I want to go, and what I want to say. Thank you. When you're thinking about your brand, Julie and I were just talking in the back. It's a lot of information. I know it feels like a little bit like you're fire hose, but wherever you are in your journey, whether you're on your way in your business or whether you're starting out, all these principles still hold. You want to think about your story. You want to tell it clearly and simply. You want to think about your customer, how they're going to experience it. And if they need to experience, you better figure out ways that you can do that. You want to think about why they're going to decide to utilize you, however that looks. You want them to have a great experience, and then you want them to come back and tell them friends about them. And again, come back because you utilize you again. And this brand story is really a great way to go through that. Going through all that work of developing your story, developing your mission and vision will really help you to figure out how you want to solve the customer. And I don't think you should be intimidated. It'll really all come together. And the nice thing is when you're starting out is you're not like decorating an entire restaurant right now. You can really do this in small size pieces. And then as you grow, you'll have this kind of true north by which to make sure that it's being consistent. Because that's a lot of thing and what I want you to leave you with. Whatever you decide on, when you decide on it, you really have to be consistent. If you break your brands because you want to do social media differently or you don't have enough people to do it, you start breaking your brand and then people's experience, they're not going to understand where they're going or what they're supposed to experience. So start simple so that you can be consistent and then grow over time. And then you can do more and more. But consistency is the key to any brand. And always go back to think about Apple or Target or Starbucks You can be in New Zealand and your Starbucks experience is the same as it is here, although they call them flat whites, not latte. But besides that, it's a totally similar experience. But the point is that that's no different than brain, right? You want people to be like, aha, this is exactly what I was expecting. This is really cool. This is really fun. This is really whatever. And then every time I go, it's going to be like that. Dion is such a great example. All the restaurants you go to, right? They're all the same. Pizza boxes, all of those things. So with that, we're done. Right at about 7 to get you guys out of here. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions? It's a lot. I feel like a lot. Look okay. You don't look like you're totally good. No, it's good. Good. Everybody feeling good? Yeah. All right. There we are. There are emails if you need them. And Julian knows how to get in touch with us too. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts?
So I just want to think. I think that's awesome. I mean, I feel like I learned a bunch.
Good.
So thanks, Alexis.
Thank you.
We can see how terrible my heart went slowly, or like you definitely were in my. But I will. So this we recorded the whole thing. This all recorded. Like, right, I want to go back and everybody anything you've heard. Part of this. I think I mentioned everybody, part of this whole program we're building also often you time to work one-on-one with Alexis and Jennifer. I'm not sure how that will work exactly yet. Yeah. But, yeah, and a certain amount of time for free. So we'll figure that out as well, whether it's an hour or 2 hours. You have time to continue the discussion. How do we go through? I mean, this is the first of 5 sessions that we're going to work on. So just keep that in mind, and we hope you attend every single session. And that being said, so everybody feel like they're pretty confident they can be here next Thursday?
Yes. Yes. Okay.
By Zoom, in person or Zoom is fine. I'm gonna work on the Zoom piece a little bit, so it's a little more interactive. I got a camera that's not amazing, so that'll get better as we go. But in person is great. We really love having you in person. Yeah, it is. I really hope
it's easier to talk to people if you're next week is marketing.
Yeah.
And so, but bring these. Bring everything with you because you can kind of refer back to it if we talk about marketing. It's amount of time, it's not good. We felt like 2 hours, like an hour and a half, feeling okay.
I'll try to bring some snacks.
Yeah.
So, it's always the first time you do something you gotta kind of do it. Yeah. And so yeah, and everybody's good for next week. I think we're gonna
right.
Good. Everything builds kind of in succession. So
yeah. Great.
Work on that. I think the more you'll get out of it, it's work on it.
So it goes marketing, then public relations, then social media 101 and social media 102. So you're gonna be so tired of us. By the end of it, we're gonna be like, you guys should keep the fun. So, but we'll have a lot of fun and we'll have snacks, and each one will be a little different. Might have a guest speaker. So that's
again, everything's free. Like this is so important to us that to provide this. I mean, we're hard on this grant. Put this together, she wants it to be accessible. We want it to be accessible. So please take advantage of it. It's a ton of work to make it free. It's a very expensive experience. And any other thing. So spend time with people who really know what they're talking about. And it's so crucial to your startups. Things and stuff like that. But you all take away from that. So we'll see you next week. Same time. Yeah, 5:30. That works for everybody. 5:30. Same place, same time. I'll send out a follow-up email. So in the follow-up email, we'll have the PowerPoint presentation, PDF, a link to the video. I think what we're gonna do is, as we build the video, we're gonna build a YouTube page so you can rewatch if you want to rewatch. And I expect more folks next time as well. I think kind of the first ones that we're just trying to figure it out. So
but it'll be password protection.
Yeah.
Secret.
Yeah. Cool. All right, guys.
Thanks for coming, everybody. We'll see you next week.
You all.
Yeah.
It's cool because it's so many people who try to have me here. My stuff. Rita, That's sort of like 2060, 170.
Right.
Exactly.
Started in the class.
Yeah, they just.
Right, what the world.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're gonna
Oh, yeah.
I didn't, I figured it's fair. Thinking about it all day. And one team, I'm like, most people like, and everybody, you know, it's that's fine. So I bounce out of it all day. Yeah. Yeah, that's how I guys work out all the time.
But you might have been, someone I was in the. I was doing the hero from the. I did certain concepts and. Yeah, I'll be in touch.
Yeah.